Welcome back, our dear viewers. The 49th year since the October War and victories. Indeed, many changes did happen, and still the role of the Egyptian woman will always remain very important in the society, and especially during the time of crises. To shed more light on that, we are very much delighted to be joined today here in the studio by our very dear guest, Dr. Noha Aziz, Human Resources Consultant. Good morning, Dr. Noha.
Good morning, Mahesti. I'm very happy to be with you on this occasion.
I'm very happy to have you, Noha, today, not only because you are going to shed light about the role of women in Egypt, especially during the time of crises, and the role of women during the October War victory, but you also have your own experience from your own mother that played an important role during this very important time, and the experience with your father as well. So can you tell us more about your own experience during the October War victory?
Really, I'm very happy to be sharing this experience with you. The 6th October occasion is an occasion of glory and occasion of resilience. Our home was, as every Egyptian home, my father was the deputy vice president or President Sadat at the war, and for religious affairs. And of course, my mother was the supportive role. So our home lived the feeling of war. Of course, I was very young, but I remember the puzzle, the feeling of being really puzzled of what's going on. You know, covering the windows with these blue and hearing the sirens. We did that, and then they gave us a vacation at that time to away from school, all the homes. So my father used to go to the field actually, and of course he was with the with all the events and all the what was really going on. So he came back home every day, and we never felt this. He came back home. He was always in danger, but at home he gave us the feeling of security. And my mother really provided this feeling. Every woman, Egyptian woman, did that. At homes they gave the feeling of real and strong security to their families. It was difficult, and we used to hear the news, the daily news. We used to all gather around to hear the daily news. And we were involved. Even as children, we got that feeling of belonging, of being part of this war. And our part was the support we gave. So the support in ways of understanding, in ways of not being a burden to the family. And so on. So, and then after that, my mother used to take us to to volunteer in the Red Crescent.
And you are here wearing the sign of the Red Crescent. So tell us about your own experience and your mother's experience, and the role of women that you did witness with your own eyes here for the Egyptian woman during the time of war, and the responsibility that she was taken on her shoulders.
Actually, studying now the emotional intelligence, I really reflected on that time. Egyptian women had all this. They were fully aware of what was going on, regulating all the feelings of fear into a sense of security at their homes, more of motivating everybody to be part of this. You know, we were all fighting in our own ways. Women in Egypt, they sold their jewelry for the cause of war. They volunteered as nurses. When we went to the hospitals, my mother used to, we used to sit around and, you know, do these sweets as presents, and with our own hands. And we used to go to the hospitals to distribute them to the soldiers. not from a faraway distance, no, with our own hands, going around, and so the feeling of belonging, our generation really had this very, very strong belonging feeling.
Yes.
And one of the reasons was 6th October war, definitely. And after that, of course, talking again about the women's emotional intelligence, they had the empathy of understanding what was going in the country and understanding what everybody was going through.
Yes.
And then the effective relationships of how we all connected and bonded as families in Egypt. And it was very true, you know, we used to visit each other, giving that support and connecting. This is very important.
Yes.
For the soldiers to feel that even if they're on the field, their families are being taken care of.
They are safe and they are supported, and they had
through the community and through other families. Yes.
Women have a clear history in the social work, Dr. Noha, especially in the time of wars. What is your opinion in the role that the women play here during the October war victory?
Women in Egypt are a pillar in all occasions of stress, of need, times in need. The 6th October war was very significant in really giving that very special role for women.
Yes.
They did a lot. Egyptian women are very strong, they're very powerful, especially when they know the cause. For this was the good cause for being, you know, standing up, being powerful and supporting in every way possible.
Before we continue here about the role of women, Dr. Noha, we want to talk about this.
Yes.
This was a gift to your dad after the October war victory. Can you tell us more about this occasion and how it was given to you, and can you tell us more about it?
With pleasure. This was a gift. This is part of a phantom wreckage from the enemy.
Yes, from the Israeli
fighters,
side.
yes. It was presented to my dad with my name on it, Ibnati, my daughter Noha Abdelaziz Kamel, and for my sister too, one like it.
Yes.
So
you got two gifts.
Yes, we got two gifts, and this was part of making us feel as part of all this, because we did have our fears, and we did have our need for being, you know, recognized and acknowledged for this, and they did that as families. So this was given to us from Marshal Ahmed Ismail, of course. He was you know, leading all the operations.
How did the political leadership, Dr. Noha, support the status of women after the October war and victories?
Women are leaders, and when after the 1973 the war, they were really recognized as leaders. Before that, they weren't in the community in high positions and so on. Significantly after the war, they took really high places, and now there are so many ministers, women ministers. Indeed. At that time, it was only.
It was not like nowadays, of course.
Mrs. Aisha Ratib, you know, she was the only woman, and we recognize her, of course, in this occasion. So after that, there was spotlight on women more and more as leaders and as part of the community, and in all corporates, actually, in the government and outside the government.
Yes, of course. Dr. Noha, also we have to assess here the status of women and the role of women since the October war and victories till today. How do you see the change here in women's attitude regarding dealing with the time of crises and problems and instabilities? throughout these different decades?
Actually, Mahisti, they adopted the 5 practices, the exemplary practices of leadership in general, causes and partner. They were role models, they modeling the way. They inspired a shared vision, the shared vision of building our community and getting up from all this, you know, the war, the casualties, the people who are wounded, the soldiers who are wounded, all the emotional, after, as we say, after war emotions that were involved. They challenged the process in everything they did to raise up their families in a way that's up to the level.
With no problems in the psychological background of the kids, of course.
Definitely, definitely. And of course, enabling other women to rise up and to act, and for their children, enabling their children to rise up and to be people of you know, significance and people of status and so on, and encouraging the heart for everybody around them, because these are the exemplary leadership practices that they adopted even when they didn't know that. You know. As we say, they did it by nature. The Egyptian woman is very strong.
Yes.
And we have to
What here is the role that women should be playing and did play during the past decades during the crisis management thing?
They embraced the family in a way to, you know, deal with all the difficulties, because there was difficulties in even the simplest things, the food, what we have at home, what is happening, dealing with hearing these, you know, the sirens, the raiding sirens, the fear that came with it, and all this. So they supported inside the homes and volunteered outside.
Indeed.
Volunteering took a very huge, you know, part of. Everybody was volunteering, each in his own way, or his own field, or his own.
And I do believe that also the actresses, the singers, every singer.
We know Kulthum,
yes,
we
and
know
others
that.
where they used to go to the field to entertain the soldiers or to raise money in order to support the army, and every single person here did play a role in order to support the country during the time of war.
This really happened. We saw it live. You know, everybody was contributing, as you say, Mahisti, in their own way. They even Egyptian women, they hid weapons. They sold their jewelry. They did that. They went and volunteered as nurses. They even, I saw a picture of them fighting in the war. You know, so. This is, and there was a big role for the Egyptian Red Crescent, of course, in that.
Dr. Noha, that would bring me to ask about a very important thing, the sense of belonging.
Yes.
That our children, the kids here, or our kids or our grandkids, who did not witness the October War victories, and maybe it has been 49 years since then. So how we can raise the sense of belonging, of glory, of pride regarding that victory in our new generations here?
Your question is very deep and very much needed.
Yes.
Because as we were talking, you know, our sense of belonging came from bonding together at that hard time. After that, we need to take this experience and tell the story as we're doing now, and keep repeating it to the generations that are coming. This happened to us, and this is what we did. And as storytelling, storytelling is a very important part of building the belonging.
Yes.
Knowing the roots. Where did they come from, and what did their ancestors do, and what did their you know, fighting grandfathers and fighting mothers did at that time. The sense of belonging comes from gradually putting that, instilling that in them. Today, my granddaughter is celebrating 6th of October in her own way. She at school, she's very young, but at school she took the flag, and you know, this is celebration. This is belonging.
Yes, and can you tell us here about what do you tell your granddaughter here, Dr. Noha, regarding the glories of her granddad, the glories of the Egyptian army who succeeded to defeat the enemy, and that was a sense of pride for every Egyptian citizen. What do you tell here your daughter and your granddaughter regarding that, and to what extent do you feel that they do feel the glory here and the pride for this great victory?
At home, we do tell the story. I tell them about their grandfather and their grandmother and what happened in the war, and I keep repeating that, and they get that sense of pride gradually. And they also tell the story to their daughters, you know, and so on. My granddaughter loves our song Biladi. She loves that song, and we keep singing it.
Yes.
As I was coming today to the studio, I heard the songs that we were hearing at that time.
Yes.
It gives so much motivation, and we need to repeat that.
Yes, and this very moment,
the celebration.
Dr. Noha, as we are celebrating the 6th of October war victories, and I do especially hear the old songs commemorating this very special victory, and the motivation for the soldiers, and also how the Egyptian women did bear the martyrdom of many of our great heroes here. And I would like to take this occasion and salute the souls of our dear martyrs who sacrificed their lives and souls for the sake of the homeland. So how do you see
in
here,
our hearts they are?
Yes.
Truly.
So how do you see here the role here of the mothers who sacrificed or who accepted and were happy for the martyrdom of their children, the soldiers of Egypt, for the sake of the homeland?
Our family and our friends, and even in the community, we saw women and we saw mothers being very strong in addressing this. Their sons, some died, some were wounded. They celebrated that. They knew they were giving their souls to the cause of for their country, and they were really their strength gave others strength. And this is what we've seen, even in songs and even celebrating this. It was very, very significant at that time, you know, because the first reaction is to that they cry, they're sad, this didn't happen.
Yes,
they're proud, they're resilient.
Yes, indeed.
They're very strong.
Yes. And till this very moment, we do see the Egyptian woman, who the mother and the wife here, and who sacrificed her husband or her son for the sake of the homeland. They are proud of that, and they still do that till this very moment. Dr.
Definitely, Mahesti, Egypt is very precious.
Indeed.
And this is our land, and we did defend our land very proudly, and we need to remember that and extend our celebrations, and you know, get involved in the celebrations. I'm so happy that corporates and you know, schools and everything, they have to get involved in all this.
Yes, indeed.
And of course the media with your
indeed, and it's indeed a great occasion, Dr. Noha, to salute the souls of all the great heroes of the October war victories, who maybe many of them did leave our world, and many of them did lose their lives during the wars as martyrs, who sacrificed their lives for the sake of the homeland, and other heroes who did pass away. We do salute their souls, and we'll always remember their great sacrifices Dr. Noha Aziz, Human Resources Consultant, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Nahisti, and thank you for remembering and celebrating this occasion, remembering my late father, Dr. Abdulaziz Kamel, and all the contribution of all who fought and gave their lives.
They will always be remembered as our heroes till the end of days. And that, our dear viewers, bring us to the end of this segment in The Breakfast Show. We'll go to a short break, and after that we'll be back to continue our segments with my dear colleague Amal Mukhtar, so stay tuned.